In 1804, the human population reached its first billion. Just 100 years later, it hit 2 billion. By 1960, the population had grown to 3 billion. And in 2011, the population hit 7 billion and continues to grow. Projections for 2100 suggest that the population will hit between 10 and 11 billion. Throughout history, scientists and philosophers have grown increasingly concerned with the rapidly growing population on a planet with finite resources. Overpopulation occurs when a species' population surpasses the carrying capacity, which is defined as the number of people a region can support without environmental degradation. Overpopulation is currently happening, and it is time that we do something about it.
At some point, the world population is going to stop growing. The question is, how? Will it stop growing because of famine, disease, a war over resources? Or will it stop growing because people choose to have smaller families?
The population of the United States is approximately 319 million people, or 4% of the world's population. So why should we worry about overpopulation when we represent such a small overall percentage? Because of our excessively high consumption of resources. For example, we consume 19% of the world's primary energy. Limiting consumption as well as controlling the population of the United States is critical. How can we effectively control for population? In the past, population movements have attempted to control the population by focusing on the reproductive practices of women in poverty and women of color. Harmful stereotypes of women of color have led to extreme efforts to control their fertility, including the forced sterilization of women.
Sterilizations are markedly on the increase in the United States. And if we look at where they're on the increase, or on whom I should say they're on the increase, it's mainly minority women, that is Black, Native American, and Hispanic women.
Considering past attempts at population control and how they have been centered on women's reproduction, it is no wonder women, especially women involved in the reproductive justice movement, are opposed to population control. We have a vested interest in limiting population in order to protect our environment, but at the same time we also need to protect reproductive rights. By working with rather than against the reproductive justice movement, we can explore ways to slow population growth without taking away choice. We need to incorporate the values of the reproductive justice movement into population legislation if we want to successfully slow population growth. We can do this by implementing legislation that allows women to have full agency over their reproductive health, mandating comprehensive sex education, educating women and encouraging them to have careers, and by furthering the prohibition of discrimination in healthcare, education, and economic opportunities. According to the Guttmacher Institute, in the United States, 51% of pregnancies are unintended. When women consistently use contraceptives, they are much less likely to have an unintended pregnancy. This study shows that women who consistently and correctly use contraceptives make up only 5% of the 3.1 million unintended pregnancies. Allowing women to have full agency over their reproduction, including accessible and affordable contraceptives and abortion care, will reduce the number of unwanted pregnancies. Mandated comprehensive sex education would get rid of ineffective sex education programs. We need to teach students about contraceptives and family planning, as well as encourage the use of contraceptives to limit unwanted teen pregnancy. Educating women is the #1 most effective way to slow population growth. Areas of the United States with low dropout rates for women also have lower rates of unintended pregnancy. It is essential to make college more affordable and to offer more scholarships that will give opportunities to students, especially those from low socioeconomic backgrounds and people of color. Unintended pregnancy is significantly higher for women below the poverty line. Black and Hispanic women have higher rates of unintended pregnancy in all socioeconomic backgrounds. For this reason, furthering laws that prohibit discrimination, including healthcare, education, and economic opportunities, gives women more choice and can lead to a decline in population growth.
And on the population side, we're on the way. We want to arrange it so it's done humanely and so that people get the choices they want, and that particularly women get the choices they want.
What can you do? Educate yourself on the impacts of overpopulation. Live sustainably by limiting your resource consumption. Contact your legislators and ask them what they are doing to help initiate some of this legislation. Don't forget to vote, and plan your family wisely. If we act now, we can protect our choices and our environment.